Volkanovski, remind you now, he only weighed 144, so he was basically 10 pounds, basically under the weight. But he wiped it out.
A much smaller guy just because he's at the end of the road, but the fight's so big and the money's so big, he's gonna have to take it. I bet he retires after that fight.
I have to start playing catch up in rounds 4, 5, 6. Believe me, by the 7th round, Canelo is going to be a little muscle fatigued, right? We've seen that.
Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back when warning Canelo Alvarez about stepping in with Terence Crawford. He flat out said this fight could go bad for Canelo, real bad. Sharpe pointed out Crawford's speed, skill, and stamina, hinting that this wouldn't just be a loss. It could be the end of Canelo's rule in boxing. Canelo himself admitted he's been thinking about retirement after a 20-year career, saying the pull to explore life outside the ring keeps growing. Sometimes he just wants to walk away and do something else.
Has retirement ever crossed your mind? Have you ever thought about that?
I always say like 37 is good time to go. It's not because I can't be in the boxing anymore, but sometimes you need to do something else. So I'm being in October I turned 20 years as a professional fighter. So it's meant a lot of years. So
Eddie Hearn, Canelo's longtime promoter and insider, threw gasoline on the fire, saying this fight with Terence Crawford might be Canelo's last. Hearn believes a Mexican superstar could be reaching the end of his legendary run, and this fight might be the final test before calling it quits. This isn't just a random guess. Hearn has seen every stage of Canelo's career and knows the toll it's taken on him, both physically and mentally. After nearly 2 decades in the ring, Canelo might be chasing closure against one of the sharpest fighters of this generation.
Do you see that fight now differently based on how Canelo performed against Skull Eddie?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
It wasn't just the fact that he couldn't cut the ring off. I just feel like the timing now, the age, Canelo is amazing. I mean, not just because of his ability and what he's accomplished, but the fact that he still has the desire for those training camps and those fights. But I just feel like that desire might be fading a little bit. Not because of his love, but just because of age and life. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, the Crawford fight will definitely get him up for it. But I was actually watching that fight thinking I wouldn't be surprised if he retired and actually didn't fight Crawford, because I don't think he'll want to lose to Crawford, a much smaller guy, just because he's at the end of the road. But the fight's so big and the money's so big, he's going to have to take it. I bet he retires after that fight.
Hearn admitted he's worried about what he saw in Canelo's fights with John Ryder and William Skull. Slower hands, weaker combos, fading head movement, and less punching power. The once explosive Canelo seems to have lost that spark. Meanwhile, Bernie, close to Crawford, is certain Bud will beat him, calling Crawford a legend, not just a great fighter. Even more shocking, some Mexican fans are now siding with Crawford. It's not about loyalty anymore. It's about recognizing hunger and momentum. Crawford's respect is now global, and even Canelo's own camp knows that kind of admiration can be dangerous.
Yeah. Now, the man said, now was both good. Say, you're not going to beat me. You say, I'm telling you, I guarantee I'm going to beat you. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how Crawford is. That's how he feels. He believes in his heart. And you could tell it. You could look him in his eyes. You know what I mean? And a lot of people believe that Crawford going to win this fight. And a lot of Mexican people.
Yeah, they supporting him. They supporting him.
A lot of Mexican people, you know. So they got their formula why Crawford going to beat him. But it's a tremendous fight. I think Canelo, like I say, is a living legend. You know, and everything that he do. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of Mexicans don't like him, but I love him. I think he does everything good in the ring. I think, you know, from swag to everything. I just love Canelo. I can't take it away from him. You know, he had them little allegations and everything. Yeah. And that's a damper on him, but I try not to focus on that. You know what I mean? I know he got in there with the baddest guys, the toughest guys, and he came through with flying colors. So I give him all the credit, going up there and fighting Bivol when nobody knew who Bivol really wasn't paying attention to him. That man was a 25-year-old champion, the reigning champion, title defenses under his belt, and young and good. And Canelo fought him. So, you know what I'm saying? That was a challenge. You feel me? Had the height, had the reach, had a lot of, you know what I mean? So I give Canelo none but credit. I thank him for allowing us to get this fight. And you see what Crawford said. I didn't get to get, Canelo got to fight these guys with the names. I didn't necessarily get to fight all the guys with the names when I wanted to. But I got him. Yeah, that's the how it coming around full circle. And when God got it for you, nobody can be against you. And so I think he's the most deserving fighter of that outside of Benavidez. You know what I mean? Yeah. Besides that, but Benavidez still doesn't bring the super fight dynamic to it. It's a really good fight with Benavidez, but this is a super fight. Exactly. We have legends fighting each other. David Benavidez has yet to become a legend. He's still growing in the sport. Absolutely. Crawford is a legend. 14 years in the sport, 10 years as champion, 11 years going on. You understand? Undisputed 2 different times, fighter of the year, all those different things. So, like I say, and the mystique of Crawford is legend in itself. The mystique of Crawford. So, I mean, so it's a super fight. Again, I thank Canelo Alvarez for taking the.
Former middleweight champ Kelly Pavlik gave it straight. He sees Crawford as a stronger, more successful fighter. He praised Crawford's raw skill, smart pressure, and insane conditioning. But Pavlik didn't spare Canelo from criticism, saying he's been fighting just to avoid losing instead of trying to dominate. Against someone as relentless as Crawford, that cautious style won't cut it. Pavlik's verdict? One man is chasing greatness. The other is just trying to hang on.
I mean, he's a great fighter. I mean, that's it. Crawford is so talented. He's got so much ability in boxing, his boxing ability. And he's a bigger guy, too. He's almost every bit as big as Canelo, right? So that's what makes it tough. Like, yeah, Canelo's used to fighting guys coming down from 200, probably, at light heavyweight. And Crawford ain't. But it's just too hard to pick on it because of Crawford's ability and boxing skills. I'm not going off of Canelo's last fight. The guy he was fighting was in survival mode pretty much. He was just fighting not to get knocked out. When you fight a guy like that, you're not going to look good, right? I don't care what anybody says. When you fight a guy that's running around trying to survive, it makes it hard. So I don't go off of that, but this fight is going to be interesting. I mean, I would almost have to kind of lean with Canelo, but I'm not making that pick. Just saying, guys, so nobody come at me. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this one. Not worrying about anybody, saying, hi, you're wrong, or talking. But it'll be a good one.
Legendary trainer Robert Garcia joined the chorus, saying Canelo has moved away from hunting knockouts. Garcia was blunt. Canelo's tired. He's been fighting at the top since he was a teenager and carrying the sport for over 20 years. The precision and wrist of his younger years have been replaced with a safer, energy-saving style. Garcia isn't bashing him, he's just pointing out the wear and tear. Canelo's been through wars, and the cost is now showing every time he steps into the ring.
Why is it that Shiraz was able to knock out Berlanga, but not Canelo?
Because Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now, we've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same against Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but then they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. He's up there, and not in age because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
15. A lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself and not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz has the power that nobody believes.
Popular analysts have grown up says Canelo versus Crawford could be historic. If Crawford beats one of boxing's biggest global names, he's instantly a legend. But there's a twist. If Crawford dominates too much, conspiracy theories will explode. People will question how a smaller fighter beats someone like Canelo. In today's social media circus, greatness often gets met with suspicion. The bigger the win, the louder the hate. This fight could be the peak of Crawford's career and the start of a non-stop war of words long after the final bell.
Is going to attempt to do something that is so incredible, so magnificent, so amazing as a fighter and for his legacy, in trying to beat Canelo Alvarez, the 168-pound undisputed champion. My fear is if he does that, if he accomplishes that, if he is able to succeed in accomplishing such a magnificent goal, people will immediately discredit Terence Bud Crawford and his victory, calling him a drug cheat.
Veteran broadcaster Stephen A. Smith didn't hesitate. He's picking Crawford to win on points. He believes Crawford's discipline, fight IQ, and pace will get him a unanimous decision over the bigger but slower Canelo. Smith says Canelo is still dangerous, but his recent performances have slipped. Crawford thrives in long, tactical battles, and a 12-round win would cement him not just as the best active fighter, but as one of the modern greats.
You got a love for boxing.
Yes,
Who gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest fighter in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating, Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo is, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud.
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, stronger fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
Always prepared.
He's always ready. He's always
that.
prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But I don't think he's gonna.
Crawford himself addressed Canelo's size and pressure game with complete calm. He's not shaken. He's quietly ready for anything, showing both respect for Canelo and unshakable belief in his own adaptability.
Man, I'm feeling good. You know, work has been going great, and you know, fight time we gonna be prepared to put on a great show for you guys.
Has this been in your mind? We've been talking about it forever. Did you feel like this was eventually going to be the case, that you and Canelo were going to eventually get in there?
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't, think it was, a fight that he wanted. So I didn't really know. But, thanks to Turkey, Al-Sheikh, he made it possible. And, we got one of the biggest fights in the last decade, happening at Allegiant Stadium, September 13th.
When you get in there, what do you expect? Everyone's going to make, a size difference, but what do you expect when you get in there with Canelo?
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. He's the bigger man. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything in there.
Antonio, another member of Team Crawford, says Bud's game plan is set, one that will exploit every weakness in Canelo's current form. Crawford is preparing physically and strategically, knowing exactly when to attack, when to counter, and when to crank up the pressure. Antonio still gave Canelo his due, saying he can win, but only if he brings back the relentless, explosive energy he had against Caleb Plant. Anything less, and Crawford precision will be too much for him.
Terence got to be Terence, bro. He's a real deep thinker. He processed fights like nobody else. And he's processed this Canelo fight. He's seen it. He went through it 2 or 3 times already. He knows how this ends. You can tell the way he shadow boxes. He visualizing Canelo being right there in front of him. You understand? Look at the movement. That's all you got to do. Look at the movement. And that's the type of master boxer that Canelo is going to be facing. And the only thing I say is Canelo hasn't faced an opponent like this in a long time. You know what I mean? I think Canelo's going to have to go back to the Caleb Plant fight and look that good, that active, that, you feel me, moving with that type of grace to beat Terence Crawford. Because weight ain't going to make the difference. It ain't going to be the weight. It's going to be the skill set.
In a twist, Canelo openly praised Crawford, ranking him above some of boxing's biggest icons. This kind of respect says a lot, especially coming from a man who fought Mayweather and worked under Oscar de la Hoya. It feels like Canelo sees Crawford not just as an opponent, but as the next king of the sport. And it's a sign he knows this fight will be unlike anything he's ever faced.
The best fighter he has ever faced. He says that he believes that Terence Bud Crawford is better than legendary Hall of Famer Bernard Hopkins, Oscar de la Hoya. There's no shock there. Tito Trinidad. But the shock came in where he said that he believes he is definitely better than Russian superstar undisputed light heavyweight world champion who beat Canelo Alvarez. I thought pretty handily, 9 rounds to 3. I thought 10 rounds to 2, but 9 rounds to 3 at worst. He beat Canelo Alvarez in Dimitri Bivol. And then he said that, but this is not a shocker, he said this before, that Terence Crawford is better than Floyd Mayweather. Now, I personally don't believe that. I believe that Floyd Mayweather is a better fighter. But nonetheless, Terence Crawford is a great in his own right. But this just goes to show that Canelo Alvarez has learned something, a thing or two, from Floyd Mayweather. He showed some things he took from Floyd Mayweather from their fight, which he lost every single round to a 36-year-old going on 37-year-old Floyd Mayweather. In 2013, he lost every single round to Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather always build up his opponents. Always. Okay? He always build up his opponents. He never tear down his opponents. He learned. If you tear down your opponent, how you get credit for your opponent? For the win.
When it comes down to it, Crawford just needs to be himself. Slick, strategic, and ruthless when the moment calls. His style has beaten everyone he's faced. Canelo's only chance is to be tougher than ever, stay calm under fire, and keep moving forward through Crawford's sharp, punishing shots. If Canelo slows, loses focus, or can't deal with Bud's angles, the fight could slip away fast. This is a battle of will, style, and pure endurance.
If he's able to be aggressive, not be affected by Bud's punches, and just keep, attacking and imposing that will on him, and then Bud being the dog that he is, and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna go, I'm letting loose. I think that can change the effect on Bud, and I think that will be the way that Alvarez can win that fight.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so what do you think? Obviously, if Bud remains slick, what outside of that could cause Canelo to lose?
That's it for today's show. Stay tuned.